Hello, welcome again. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the silver market. This is going to be a quick, brief one. Haven't done one on silver in a little bit. I think it's kind of important right now with what's going on. I don't want to get into the news and what's going on right now with the mining and the precious metals industries. Essentially, China has a big part to play with what's going on right now, and looks like they're actually trying to pull back a little bit from the mining, excuse me, from the asset acquisitions stages that they have been in recently. Um, Real quick, I'm gonna go over some charts. Today being Friday the 22nd of January, and if we look at it, um, it actually went down. It kind of hit a little bit of a bottom. I mean, we're talking a matter of cents, a quarter or 35 cents, but that does make a big difference in, the bigger picture. And I don't want to get into it now. But if we look at a 10-year chart of silver, we can see that there's been a $40 spread between the 10 years, between 10 years ago, which it was right around $8.92, and then now today, which right now is at $14 flat pretty much. It hit 1370 something the other day. It went down pretty low, dipped down low. I really believe that's actually going to go lower, believe it or not. Even though it shouldn't be, it should be going up. So look at this, 10 years, a $40 spread between these 10 years. And if we look at the highest prices that it's been at was a few years ago, was not that long ago, where we had nearly $50 an ounce. Remember, troy ounce, 31.1 grams. We had nearly $50 an ounce silver. Um, After the mortgage bubble popped, everybody started buying their precious metals, and of course, it drove the price up. Now, at that time, the market wasn't so flooded as it is now with the paper backed certificates for silver, rather than owning your physical silver. And I want to show you real quick. This is a generic one. I order every month. I am almost every week I'm getting silver. I'm real big into it right now. Here's one I got from Scottsdale Mint. I really like Scottsdale Mint. I don't know if you can see that. This is basically a 2 troy ounce coins. Got a pretty cool design on it. Now those have a little bit more of a premium, per ounce than say this, which is a generic one from APMEX, which I like to order from them. Now I like to order smaller coins because they're not as easy to counterfeit and fabricate. Like, be careful about buying online, like websites like eBay and whatnot. But back to the silver. The chart's pretty much, now let's just look at a 30-day chart. So we had a high of 1438 and a low of 1377. So we're right around, maybe say a dollar difference between the entire month this month. And in 3 months, right around the same. 6 months, we're looking at about a $3 difference in 3 months between the highs and the lows. And in the last year, we have about a $5 difference. Now, the 5-year chart, this is where the big spread starts happening, is right at about 5 years ago, okay? I'm starting to notice I need to shave. Huh. But, you can go to Kitco. I suggest go to kitco.com. You can download apps if you got Android phones or iOS platforms. You can download apps, and it will help you keep track of this stuff. It'll help you keep alerted to it so you know when you want to buy. And remember, you want to buy and you want to hold physical silver, okay? Not the paper. Stay away from the paper markets. I keep saying it. Stay away from the paper markets. Do not buy paper silver. If you don't physically hold it, then you actually don't even own it, believe it or not. Now, real quick, that was just a brief history of the silver market. Pretty much of the past 10 years. I think that silver is going to actually dip down a little bit lower just because of the way that people, these big players are messing with the market, are fabricating the numbers basically. I think it's going to go down a little bit more, and I think after probably Q1, maybe Q2, that's when we're going to start seeing it, go back up a little bit. I'm pretty sure by the end of this year we're going to be back to more realistic prices. I don't know if we're going to be above, the $40 mark, but I think we're probably going to be closer back to somewhere around $20 an ounce by the end of the year, maybe. It really depends what goes on socioeconomically, you see, because the price of silver isn't obviously dictated by the supply and demand methodology that we usually use for any other product, like whatever, foods, beverages, cars, whatever. It's a supply and demand. Now, for silver, there's a huge demand for it, but the supply is dwindling, big time dwindling. We went from having billions and billions and billions to having a few million ounces in reserve. And nearly every product that you use or come in contact with, especially if it's electrical, has small amounts of silver in it, which we don't get those back. We don't recycle them because it's such a small amount, so it ends up in the fill or it just burns off. It goes away. Gold, on the other hand, people take it and they it's jewelry and it sticks around and it lasts. Silver, same thing, but it's silver is really more an industrialized metal more than gold. Gold is just pretty much like a furniture. It's, not much you can do with it. It's even toxic to humans. Silver, on the other hand, actually, like colloidal silver, actually has benefits. So realistically, if you look at what's going on and you look at what it should be, the supply and demand system should be working for silver is clearly not working for silver. So what's happening? Well, these people are pushing huge numbers back and forth, and they're flooding the market with paper silver. So it looks like there is billions and billions of ounces of silver, more silver available than there actually is available. And why people don't take this into consideration, I have no idea why. But it's more than anything, it's a lack, either a disinterest or a lack of interest for economic, things that concern you daily. I mean, take more consideration of the things that concern you daily rather than just be fed whatever's handed to you and just accepted that that's all there is available. Now, the reason why I think that silver is so important right now, gold and silver, is because I've been working on this bill. This is not just me, as a few other people that I know that we've been working on this bill. We're trying to get to go up to Congress. Hopefully this November. It didn't make it last November, but maybe it will this November. But essentially, the bill is going to be titled "Finance for Sovereigns." So what we want to do with this bill is we really want to take it back to the constitutionality of our money, being able to control our own money and not have some Federal Reserve, which is not actually related to our federal government. They're private entity, but they control our money, and that's unconstitutional. And that wasn't supposed to happen. And I don't want to get into that. That's a whole other thing. The bankruptcy of America. You can go and look this up. House Joint Resolution 192. It's all in there. But to briefly go over this bill real quick with you, I'm just going to read through it and then let you guys chew on it, and then I'll be posting another video a little bit later too, more about this specifically, constitutional money of America. So the bill, Finance for Sovereigns, so it's an act. Essentially what we want to do is we want to amend some of the other bills that have been in effect, which have been allowing these other entities to control our finance, control our money, and essentially control our way of life, really, realistically. So relating to banking and financing, so as to provide a short title to provide legislative findings to define certain terms to require any bank or lending institution servicing a depository for the state or any department or agency of the state to offer and accept gold and silver coin for deposits. And we're going to be amending a few other things and tying them in, so it's taking time to put this all together and make sure that it's right. Now, relating to state government, so as to provide legislative findings to define certain terms to require the exclusive use of gold and silver coins as tender and payment of debts by or to the state, to provide for related matters, to provide an effective date, and to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. All right, so Section 1, the act is maybe cited as like a Constitutional Tender Act. Okay, so you can do some research and look this up, Constitutional Tender Act. Essentially, this is what we're writing this on. So the General Assembly finds and declares that sound constitutionality-based money is essential to the livelihood of the people of the state and to the stability and growth of the economy of the state and region, and vitality affects the public interest. All right, the General Assembly further finds that Article 1, Section 10 of the United States Constitution provides that no state shall make anything but gold or silver coin a tender in payment of debts. Come on, it's clear as day right there. I mean, it's a boom. I don't know how much more obvious we need to be about this, and how it's obvious and it's realistic. I mean, anybody should be able to see this. Just like you can see how much I really need to shave. It's starting to bother me now. Okay, so back to this. Instead of my ugly mug. So the Federal Reserve Accounting Unit Dollar accounts means accounts based on legal tender Federal Reserve notes created by 12 USC 3 subchapter 12. The Gold Eagle accounts means accounts based on legal tender 1 ounce, 1/2 ounce, 1/4 ounce, 1/10 ounce gold coins minted by the United States Mint since 1986, pursuant to 31 USC 5112A7 through A10 and 31 USC 5112H. Okay, moving forward, the pre-1965 silver accounts, which also German silver, maybe you've heard me refer to that before. So pre-65 silver accounts means accounts based on legal tender silver coins minted by the United States prior to the Coinage Act of 1965. Now, this is Public Law 89, 81, 79, Statutes 254, having a 90% silver composition and containing, when minted, approximately 0.7234 troy ounces of silver per dollar of face value. Now, you can break down the math. You can do the math all you want on that, but essentially, pretty much 90% silver in your nickels, dimes, quarters, half dollars, silver dollars, pre-65. This is why if you guys have any of these coins, you should really, if you have a coin jar, go through it, take a look. Any coins that's older than 1965, hold on to them. 65 and below, hold on to them. And you can look them up too, and then find out what the value is. But 65 and older, that's your general understanding. Now there's silver in there. You take those, you put them to the side, you hold on to them, because eventually you're gonna be glad that you did that. So essentially, you could say you have face value for the currency, right? But then you also have intrinsic value in the precious metal itself. Now, let's say, for example, instead of using quarters and dollars, we're going to be using these right here. This is actual silver, intrinsic silver. So yeah, paper money is a little more convenient. Bitcoin, that's really convenient. So all of these things, they're moving towards a place of convenience, but that very convenience can also undermine, the ability to hold the value in there, or the ability to maintain a consistent economic structure or status. That it will allow for inflation, deflation, yada yada. But 1 ounce of salt is still 1 ounce of salt, period. You can only do so much with 1 ounce of salt. And unfortunately, you can counterfeit, gold and silver coins can be counterfeit as well. So the smaller ones, I prefer to get and stack and hold on to. A bunch of the smaller ones are a lot harder to counterfeit. But back to the Legal Tender Act here. So this is just setting up the background. Is basically giving a little history that, hey, this is already law. So we're amending amendments to get back to what originally we're supposed to be at. Now, banks and lending institutions chartered by the state pursuant to this title, and any bank or lending institution serving as a depository for the state or any department or agency of the state, shall offer gold and silver coins minted by the United States to and shall accept them for deposits from the state and other customers. If you go into a bank right now and you tell them that you want to put your silver in your account, and you want to have that silver account, it would be feasible for them to be able to take the accounting, go whatever other bank that this other person is. Let's say I'm in California and he's in Texas, and I just bought a big bucket hat from him. He's going to mail it to me. Well, then essentially we can even have the bank hold that escrow until I receive the hat, and then once I do, then they can send a little notice over to the bank that's close to him that holds silver, or holds deposits or whatever. They could subtract from mine, add to them, do the accounting essentially the same way they do it now, only they do fractional banking, which gives them the availability to just fabricate money, create money, and essentially destroy our economy and continue a debt-driven system. You just can't get, it's a downward spiral. But this right here releases that. It actually puts things into effect where you have a consistent remedy. You don't have to worry that my dollar is not going to be worth. I'm not going to be able to go and buy a loaf of bread for $2 tomorrow because something happened economically, and now it's going to cost me $100 to go get it. I'm going to have a wheelbarrow full of dollar bills to go buy some food. But silver is still silver, gold is still gold, salt is still salt. So things like that of intrinsic value is more important. Now, this statute right here, or this amendment, this bill right here, is essentially to get our accounting back towards that. If we were completely on a gold standard, which I don't think a gold standard 100% is the best option. I do believe that it's going to take a a hybrid of some things, but I also think that it's going to take a huge, the community is going to have to come together to really make it happen and make it work and to release ourselves. If you look at some of the things that was going on, like over in Greece, for example, now when they didn't have access to their money, they didn't have access to their banks. What do you think people were doing over there? What do you think they were, buying and selling and trading? Damn right, gold and silver. It's just, it naturally is something that society goes back to, mankind goes back to every time. And then it gets off of it, so somebody can come in and they can hijack your finances, or keep their hands in your pocket, or tax you to death. Okay, so, back to this once again. So banks and lending institutions so designated in the code section shall offer accounts denominated in a Federal Reserve accounting unit dollar accounts. So we can still keep the same fiat currency if we're comfortable with this bill. Still keep that same currency, but we still want to have the availability to do what we used to be able to do. If I don't want to ever deal with that currency again, if I pick up a dollar bill, essentially what I'm doing is I'm saying that I owe debt. It's a debt. It's legal tender, but it's actually in the account of debt is what a dollar bill actually is. This is a release of debt. A dollar bill says I'm in debt. It's an IOU. This is an actual thing. The IOU is paid. So the other accounts would be pre-65 silver accounts. So you still have now this is the middle ground between the fiat currency and the actual intrinsic value of the silver. So you can still say, okay, I want to transfer $100 face value of my 90% silver coins. So there's two different values there. There's the fiat dollar value of the face value of the coin. And then there's also the intrinsic value. People will pay you differently based upon the amount of metal that's in that coin, different than what it says on the face value of the coin. So the system is pretty much already here and it's already ready for it. That's the good thing. And then 3 silver eagle accounts and then 4 gold eagle accounts. Okay. Accounts established as provided in subsection A of this code section shall be segregated from all other types of currency. Withdrawals shall be made in the same currency as deposits, provided, however, that nothing in this code section shall prevent the conversion from one form of currency to another form of currency. This is keep it straight across the board, So essentially, the Uniform Commercial Code and all those, everything still applies and all the laws still apply. And we have a good streamlined way of being able to deal economically with other countries, with other, currencies. So we can maintain, a streamlined, value system, structure system on, the precious metals itself and the face value of the fiat. Okay, so relating to state government is amended by adding a new chapter to read as follows. The General Assembly finds that, as mandated by Article 1, Section 10 of the United States Constitution, the state shall not make anything but gold or silver coins as tender in payment of debts. Federal Reserve accounting unit dollars have no redeeming value in gold or silver, and they shall not be made a tender in payment of debts by the state. So, if the state owes me money for some reason, let's say, for example, I have, $1,000 of tax return coming back to me. I don't want that $1,000 of tax return to come back to me in a check that I take to a bank that only gives me Federal Reserve notes. By law, I should be able to, if they send me, say, hey, I can go and pull this money out of any Federal Reserve bank, that I can go there and actually get gold and silver for it. So I can get $1,000 face value of 90% pre-65 silver coins, or $1,000 value of whatever the silver market is that day. Depending. This gives us the opportunity to choose how we want to control our finances. So essentially, this is how things were at one time, and this bill we're working on is really only to get us to go back to what we used to be doing when shit was working right. It was functional. Of course, it had its flaws. But it was really, those flaws were really generally created by the subversion and the hijacking of our nation by a corporation government. And that's videos we'll do later. I've done a couple of videos on it, but there is a difference between your government and the nation that you reside, that's your domicile. All right, so back to this. We're getting close to the end here. Federal Reserve accounting unit dollars means accounts based on legal tender Federal Reserve note created by 12 USC 3 sub chapter 12. Gold Eagle accounts means accounts based on legal tender. Okay, I already went through that. Okay, yes. All right, so here we go. So, upon the date of effectiveness of this act, all obligations owed by and to the state shall be converted from denomination in Federal Reserve accounting unit dollars to denominations in gold and silver coins pursuant to the section that we create here through this bill on the date of conversion by the use of the state of the Federal Reserve accounting unit dollars to excuse me, to its use of gold and silver coins. The conversion value of each coin used as payment of obligations by and to the state shall not be determined by the nominal face value of each coin itself, but shall be determined as follows. Now, this will set up, will clarify if the government owes you money, are they going to pay you face value of these coins, or are they going to, pay you so much of a weight in these coins? So here's how we determine this. The current market value of silver or gold content of each coin at the time of conversion shall be equal to the most recent conversion value to the United States dollar set on that current business day by the London silver fixing price and the London gold fixing price as of 10:30 Greenwich Mean Time or 1500 Greenwich Mean Time, whichever is most recent. So essentially, whatever the price is that day is what the conversion will be if you go. So you can hold on to that. Let's say the government, gives you a $1,000 voucher. You can hold on to that and you can go get it now, or you can wait and see if the value, of silver goes up or goes down or whatever. And you can hold on to it. And essentially, you pretty much have like a stock certificate, something that you can go in and cash in at any time. You can pass it on, whatever, and you can hold on to it, and it will retain its value. You can even use that as trade. You can, put a serial number on it, stamp it, and actually use that as some form of a trade or of tender. So the conversion value of all gold eagles shall be equal to the current market value in the Federal Reserve accounting unit dollars of the gold content of each coin plus the U.S. standard U.S. Mint authorized purchaser's premium for gold eagle bullion coins as follows: 3% premium for 1 ounce coins, 5% premium for 1/2 ounce coins, 7% premium for 1/4 ounce coins, and 9% premium for 1/10 ounce coins. So the smaller you go, the more premium is going to be on there. So of course it would behoove you to go ahead and buy your gold or silver in bulk. The conversion value of pre-1965 silver coins shall be equal to the current market value in Federal Reserve accounting unit dollars of 1 troy ounce of silver multiplied times 0.715 of the face value of each coin, and the conversion value of silver eagles shall be equal to the current market value in Federal Reserve accounting unit dollars of the silver content of each coin plus the standard U.S. Mint authorized purchaser's premium for silver eagle bullion coins of $1.50 per coin. The coins used pursuant to the section that we shall create here shall be accepted for deposits by banks and lending institutions chartered by the state under the section whichever we create for it, and by any bank or lending institution servicing as a depository for the state or any department or agency of the state. Any such bank or lending institution may offer such coins to and accept them for deposits from other customers. Nothing in whichever bill we create or law shall prohibit banks and lending institutions from offering accounts as described in the code section that we create here prior to the effective date of this chapter. Checks or electronic transfers or payments drawn on pre-1965 silver accounts, silver eagle accounts, and gold eagle accounts as such accounts are defined in whichever section we create, and in accordance with whatever section we create, shall be deemed to satisfy the United States Constitution's requirements that payment of obligations by the state be made only in gold or silver coin, and shall be deemed to satisfy the requirements of whichever section we create for payments of obligations owed to the state. So it gets pretty detailed, and we want to cover all bases here. Section 5, all laws or parts of laws in conflict with this act are hereby repealed. So this is, essentially how we're trying to cover our ass. Now, here's some thoughts on this legal tender act here. In short, it's going to be difficult all the way around. Why? Because the bill would actually return the state to the obedience to the United States Constitution, and we know that almost every single legislator, almost every legislator that I've personally talked to, and I suggest you can contact, your legislative offices, officers, and the councilmen in your area, and ask them, probe them for questions. And it's amazing how ignorant they are. It's amazing how uninformed they actually are. So it's our responsibility and our duty to make sure our public servants, the people that are actually pretty much controlling our lives day to day, it's up to us to make sure that they're doing, we're a check and balance system. We have to be that check and balance system. If we let them get away with ignorance and drive us down, it's our fault. Through tacit acquiescence, we accept whatever they put on us. But it's amazing how ignorant these people really are. Call them and ask them some questions. But almost every legislator that I've talked to is completely clueless about what constitutionality actually was and what it would require to remain constitutional with legal tender. They have no clue. Or at least when it comes to monetary policies and whatnot. Now, any law that is passed by Congress only has the force of law. If it's constitutional, then the Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, shall be the supreme law of the land. So if a law was passed which is not made in pursuance of the clear words of the Constitution, then that law is not a law at all. This is a quote from John Marshall, one of the first Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. Actually said this in a Mayberry versus Madison case. I believe this is 1803. Now, an act of the legislator pursuant to the Constitution is void. An act of legislator repugnant to the Constitution is void. And then I got another judge right here quoting Justice Stephen Johnson Field. He gave his own opinion on this, and this was 1886, I believe it was. It was in Shelby County. Now, this is what he said: an unconstitutional act is not a law. It confers no rights. It imposes no duties. It affords no protection. It creates no office. It is, in legal contemplation, as inoperative as though it had never been passed. This is essentially, these are judges and these are people in high office that are recognizing these things, that are educated and that are informed and do understand how unconstitutional we are living our lives by continuing to use a Federal Reserve note as form of a payment for a debt when it is actually nothing more than a debt certificate itself. Now, moving on, I think I got something else that, will pop something in your head. So acts of the large society, that is the federal government, basically, which are not pursuant to its constitutional powers, will be merely acts of usurpation. Usurpation. I'm not so good with my words sometimes. I didn't learn so good. But anyway, so this it will be treated as such. And so basically what he's saying is that if it's not constitutional, then basically it's treated as if it doesn't matter if it passed. If it's not constitutional, essentially it doesn't count. And you can take that to the bank. You can literally take it to the bank and tell them, this doesn't count. You cannot cash this. It's unconstitutional. Why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? As a nation, as a society, as individuals, why don't we do this? Because it takes personal responsibility. That's why. Because it requires you to get up and to actually do something about it. Because it requires you to take personal responsibility. It requires you to become informed and educated. It requires you to have a desire to want the change and to actually do something to create the change. That's what it is. And it's not standing out there and picketing in the streets. And it's not just waiting around for shit to hit the fan, and hope I don't get caught with my pants down. No, it's taking responsibility, taking the duties right now, taking the steps right now to do what you need to do to secure your sovereignty and my sovereignty as well. We're a team. We have to do this together. I can do so much. If one can do 100, two could do 1,000. Imagine what 3 or 4 could do then. So I wanted to just do this video real quick, pass it on to you, and I hope you guys think about it. So Enjoy.